YouTube. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us here in Arrival Space. This is kind of like the central meetup area where we'll see and we'll be able to go back and reaccess some of these various scenes here. But we're going to be going through a tour of some various locations here in Manhattan and the neighboring boroughs. So yeah, just as some like quick little rules, I guess, we'll be kind of walking through each section, probably for about like 15 to 20 minutes each. We'll take a look as we progress through. There's quite a lot of things to explore in each scene. And these were all captured with, X-Grids devices of various kinds, but I'll kind of talk through some of the different ways that these scenes were captured as we go and explore. So I think with that in mind, I'm gonna go hop into this first scene. You kind of do it like as if you were playing like a Mario game, for instance, where we're just gonna walk right into the actual scene, and then it will load the capture. So you can just like go ahead and just like walk in. You'll see like it starts to vanish, and I'll see you there. Okay, so let's see, we'll give everyone a little bit of time to actually come into the scene. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Cool, so this is the very first location of which we will be taking a look at today. And so I'll give people just a little bit more time just to load in. Depending on your connection and the device that you're on, you're actually seeing a complete level of detail in here. So if you are on, depending on the device that you are on, you'll see a different number of total splats in the scene, and hopefully it will be a pretty seamless experience for you. So we have here, this is the first location within Manhattan, and it is the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain, which is close to the center point of Central Park, and it is one that is very synonymous with Central Park, and it was actually first built in the mid 1800s, where the construction actually began around the year 1859, and was actually just shortly after the lake that's just on the other side of this fountain was excavated. And so we can start to go and see some of the information about this park as well. So we have this fountain, which is kind of like the centerpiece of the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain. And it actually was commissioned by someone named, or for someone named Emma Stebbins, who was the first woman to ever receive a actual public art commission by the city of New York, and that was in 1873. And the name of this statue is called Angel on the Waters, which is actually meant to also commemorate the completion of the Croton Aqueduct, which actually started to be able to bring in very fresh water into everyone in Manhattan. And it's a pretty cool story as well if you look up as to how much water that aqueduct actually funnels into Manhattan every single day. It's a pretty shockingly large amount of water, but you can imagine how much water the city of Manhattan goes through. And yeah, so we can kind of explore around some of the space you can see here, and feel free to just kind of like walk through the space. You should be able to access some of these different browsers as well, which contain more information about the actual park itself, where we can see it's actually all responsive over here too. So as you scroll, everyone should be able to kind of like view separately as well, so you don't need to worry about if it's destroying it or moving this screen faster than other people can read. But yeah, we can go ahead and see some of this information here about the space.
A little bit.
And we can walk through the actual terrace itself. We can see there's a ton of really great detailing in the actual ceiling tiles, of which I believe there's something like 16,000 different ceiling tiles that are making up this space. And when I was doing some research on this, it said it was very notable because typically these tiles are used for floors rather than ceilings, which for this article felt like it was a very big deal. I'm not sure if that's actually like a big deal or not, but this definitely is a very impressive and nice to walk through space. And here's some more. Oh yeah, here's actually the annotation as well. So one of the nice things about Arrival Space is that you can place these like annotations at various hotspots. And so I just put in a quick little text fact as well about the 16,000 different tiles that make up this this terrace.
Michael, how long you use for scanning it?
How long to take to create this, you're saying? For scanning?
Yes, for scanning.
So I scanned this entire scene, I think, in about 20 minutes or so with the K1. And basically, the pro tip for this space itself is that it is always so crowded to try and find the right time to go and capture. And so for me, I always try to do two different things. One is wait till it's very cold outside to go and capture, or two, go very early in the morning. And so for this capture, I actually did both of these things. So I actually believe I captured it, this space earlier, maybe in January, at about like 6 in the morning, and there was very few people here. You can see a couple floaters if you really explore throughout here, but for the most part, I was able to kind of do a quick little walkthrough of here. One of the nice things I want to like call out actually, which is more of just like a fun little note about the Bethesda Terrace, is that it's one of the few places that actually has public restrooms in Central Park and in general Manhattan. So if you do find yourself in Central Park and you've been looking for a restroom, there aren't that many, but here are two of them. And we're coming up to another portion of the space, and we can see that we actually are able to directly embed YouTube videos right into splats, which is very cool, to actually be able to create more different like storytelling mediums. And you should be able to click on it as well. It won't play for other people, so you can either choose to do that, or you can also have it be synchronized for everyone if you want everyone to hear things. But given how many people there are here, I decided to just disable it so everyone has an individual experience on it. And one other quick note for people who may just be exploring other places through the scene, Arrival Space actually does support spatial audio as well. So if you start to hear my voice like drift off into like the distance, it could just be because we are moving up a little bit too. So if you do find yourself just like getting things being a bit fainter, you may have just like moved somewhere else. But we can walk through as well, a couple more spaces or places around here.
Michael, the scanning device, is it giving you some kind of feedback if you scanned a location or area properly, or that it could go on?
For the most part, I can see the point cloud preview as I'm walking through it. Though typically, my experience with the X-grid scanners is that like they do a very good job of getting pretty good captures, even if the settings aren't the most ideal. So I've been able to just get some decent captures from it. But one of the other things that I wanted to talk about with this space is that there's obviously home to a lot of different productions, and so there's been a lot of films that have shot here over the years, and so I've actually embedded here the IMDb page based upon like the I think it's just like the latitude and longitude coordinates of the terrace, but we can kind of like scroll through and see the different films that have all been shot here. And so you take a look at some of those, and then we can keep going as well. So when I was mentioning as well that it's beneficial to go very early. This was the one part where there was a group of runners who were just taking a nice break here, and so we can see a little bit of the floaters because they were hanging out here for just a bit. They just decided to stretch, but we can also go up here and see that we have quite a nice view of the actual park itself. We can see, so there are quite a few cherry blossom trees that have been planted within Central Park, and here we can see actually two of them on both sides of the fountain. And towards the other side of the fountain, I actually have another YouTube video about the history of the statue as well. And we can also, if we turn around, just look the other way. Actually, from this view, it's a little obfuscated, but we can see part of the rest of the Manhattan skyline behind us. But like one of the questions was asking just before, it is a pretty fast capture process. This took about 20 minutes. And here's one other YouTube video that I decided to embed as well, just giving a little bit more. Yep. But yeah, so feel free to take a look at the video for a couple minutes, and then maybe we'll just explore for the next like couple minutes or so, and then we'll move on to space number 2. And we'll do that. We'll jump into the next space actually from just here. There's a portal at the very top of the staircase that goes to the next space, which will be the Belvedere Castle. You could either go through that portal or you could return back to the initial one and then go to that second door. But if you want to explore for a little bit longer as well in this space, feel free to do so as well. So here, I'm gonna take a shortcut. So I'll go this way. But just to show some more of the space as well. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no problem, Eric. And so...
Michael, to embrace the error, you could go once in the future with a second person, actually, instead of being unhappy about floaters, that become an own floater. So if someone scans you into your own scan, you can have you branded to the location.
Sorry, say it one more time.
You could try, as a joke or as a fun effect, to go with a second person for a scan, and then second person takes over in a certain moment, and you become an immortal fixed brand into the location scan, that you stand still and the second person scans you into your own scan.
Yeah. No, I definitely would like to, go back and either go with like another person, or I think I have a bit more scanning techniques now to get some higher fidelity captures of this space too. So that will be hopefully coming soon. But all right, I think should we just hop into this next space now? And Kurt, there should be audio as well. I guess if you can't hear me, then you probably didn't hear me say that either. But there is audio. But here, let's go into the next space. Okay, so here we are. I'll give everyone just a little bit of more time as well to come into the space. All right, so we are now in our second location of the tour, which is not super far away actually from the fountain itself, and it actually is Belvedere Castle here in Central Park as well. And for a lot of the history of Belvedere Castle, it actually didn't really serve a super practical point. It was more so a just nice to have creation from the city of New York, but it was then turned into an actual weather station as well in the mid 1900s before it was then re-renovated as well to its now current form. And so we can just explore and walk around the space through here. It actually, the Belvedere Castle means just beautiful view in Italian, and was more so like a deliberate ode to signal the purpose of having a very nice lookout over the various parts of Central Park. So if you go and you visit the park itself, you can see a lot of views from this space here. And you'll notice that the actual castle itself all looks kind of like uniform in color. And that is mainly because it actually was being quarried directly from the very rock upon which it sits. So it seems to almost like emerge directly from this foundational rock here. But yeah, we can see there are some views of the Turtle Pond, in addition to the Great Lawn as well. There it goes quite into the distance. And so I've attached some videos here for people to just go ahead and learn a little bit more about what it used to look like, what it looks like now, and just get some more information about the castle. And so this is another, most of the areas in here are, it's not the easiest to capture in terms of how many people come in at a given point in time, but if you're able to go pretty early, you're able to still get a pretty nice tour of this space. Yeah, and one other quick note, this is one of the smaller spaces on the tour. but in 1919 it officially became the official meteorological observatory for New York City, and that was a period of time where it served a specific purpose. Though now you are able to go in and go up to the lookout at the top of the castle as well. I don't believe it charges anything either. I think you can just walk in and go up there as well if you're there in real life. But we can see a little bit more information about this, and let's see. Here I have a nice like web browser as well, just giving more information about the castle over here itself. And feel free just to scroll as you like through it. It won't disturb it for anyone else. And I think we can just give it another minute or so. This is one of the smaller spaces on the tour, so we can always go to the next space as well. Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, Timothy, as well. This is all, rendering in real time for all of us simultaneously. And, we're all able to, kind of like coexist in this space as well. And yeah, it's pretty wild, actually, the amount of engineering that goes into something like this, where one of the things that is really nice with Arrival Space that I actually didn't touch on yet is, you notice that we're not really, for the most part, like falling through the floor. Stairs are behaving the way that we expect them to, and you're able just to walk evenly on the surface, as well as, cast shadows. And a lot of these scenes are able to actually generate the collisions automatically for people. So it's very easy to go from just like POI to actually something that feels a little bit more like a video game in almost no time at all. And it can also sustain having all of these people inside of it at the same moment too. So anyways, we can go ahead and we'll start to head to the next scene, which is actually just down the street from here, which is the Shakespeare Garden inside of Central Park. So if you want to just kind of like walk into the screen, it will take you to the next location, and I will meet you guys there. Okay, so welcome to the Shakespeare Garden, and this one's got a little bit more of a narrow pathway. So given how many people there are already here, you might get pushed up a little bit onto the actual gardens. Obviously if we were in the real world, that would be a bit of a problem, but for here it is okay. And so this garden actually was created around the year 1913 and was originally called the Garden of the Heart, but 3 years later, in 1916, they actually renamed it to the Shakespeare Garden because it was the 300th anniversary of William Shakespeare's death. And so through this, we actually can find a lot of vegetation and different flowers that are actually mentioned inside of Shakespeare's plays and poems. So there's a lot of like very small attention to detail in this garden here. And it is also seasonal too. So I went on Sunday to do some prep for this shoot, and the garden itself actually looks very different compared to when I captured this, which was also that same. Well, actually, no, it was a little bit later in the year. It was closer towards like the springtime of 2025 that this was captured, also with the X-Grids K1. And here, I think that this entire capture, I think took something like maybe 10 or 12 minutes to make. So you're able to really just go and capture a lot of information in a pretty expedient manner. That said, the garden itself does span roughly about 4 acres, and we have all these different like winding and like curving paths, and was originally inspired by Victoria era rock gardens as well. And this is typically, I guess, asked for to be seen more as like a quiet zone for the park, so you might not see people having like picnics here or things or celebrations. It's more so for like either walking around or perhaps reading a book or just sitting and watching people. But we can walk through some of this space as well. There's actually goes back quite a bit. And throughout here as well, just like in some of the other scenes, we have some information about the garden itself. So we can scroll through like these different articles here directly natively inside of Arrival Space. and we can learn a bit about the space itself. And just moving through the garden, there's a couple other nice pieces in here. There's some benches that we have over here, and there's actually a fully working sundial as well. So if you do happen to lose track of time and not bring a phone or any other timekeeping piece, you can always use this sundial as well to help yourself. But we can go through and we can walk through this entire space as well, just like the other spaces. These were pretty much like auto collisions in the way that they were generated. So it's pretty easy to just get a bunch of information about the actual spatial understanding. So I'm going to walk back towards one other really cool spot inside of this garden, and it may be easier just to, with how narrow the paths are here, so you can kind of like jump through and be able to move a little bit faster. There's a bit of information about the items contained inside of the Shakespeare Garden here, and people are able to just, watch this video as they see fit. But one other thing that I want to highlight here is that, so we can see here, you might have to go to the terms of service here for Google, but this is just a actual overview of Google Maps as to like where we are in the park itself, and it's pulling, okay, there we go. So depending on where you actually are located, it might first show your location, but we can see here is the Shakespeare Garden, which is embedded directly inside of the splat as well. So it would take some time. We can explore and walk around this splat for a little bit. And I guess if anyone has any questions as well, you feel free to ask either through the chat or through your microphone. And since there's a little bit of silence as well, you might also notice that there is some birds chirping as well throughout this space too, because we can actually go and include sound as well inside of Arrival Space 2, and that also supports spatial audio too. So if you would like to actually put it in a specific location in a scene, say if you had like a bird nest or something like that, that also is totally possible. But with this in mind, we can go down to the next part of this space here, which is this cottage, which seems a little bit like out of place when we take a look at the sign here. And it's labeled as the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater. And this actually is a real cottage that was built in Sweden that somehow made its way to New York City, where I believe it was built in about 1875. Originally as a schoolhouse for a exposition, but it made its way eventually to here in New York City. So this is an actual Swedish cottage where it wasn't something that just was meant to be built just to look like it. It actually came directly from Sweden. And so it's been here since I believe 1877 and has served a couple of different purposes, though if you go inside now, they actually do marionette puppet shows as well here. So I'm not sure why they settled on that exactly, but if you would like to, at different points in the year, I believe they offer shows now for various audiences.
Like a little more, you only use your human height.
Say it again, sir.
The human height and the arm length. You didn't use any kind of extension stick for scanning.
No, this was just like the pure K1, and so at that point, I hadn't considered putting it onto like a selfie stick or anything. If I were to redo this scan, I definitely would change the elevation a couple times with like say the K1 or the portal cam or any camera. But yeah, this was just one pass. All of this was done, I think, in roughly like 10 minutes or so at the time of capture.
For 10 minutes, what?
Say again?
For 10 minutes of scanning, it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The what you can get done in 10 minutes. and the fidelity that comes out of it. And so I think with this in mind, we can actually move to the next location, which is a pretty fun one. We're going to go to actually a different borough in New York now, and we're actually going to go to Queens, to Long Island City. So we're going to walk through. Okay, so here we are in Gantry State Park Plaza, I believe is the name of it. And we can see this very iconic Long Island sign spread directly in front of us. But if we turn around as well, we actually have an entire view of the east side of Manhattan, which is one of the best views to see New York City, from one of the boroughs. And this is the first capture actually that was done with the portal cam instead of the K1. And to answer one of the previous questions, this one was done at a couple different elevations as well, walking through it. Though there were quite a few more people that were walking around while I was capturing, and so every so often you'll see a remnant of someone. But I really like being able to actually go here and just take a look at the actual skyline of Manhattan, and to see how far in the distance already we're able to reconstruct, despite it not ever clearing the any further than this dock. But anyways, we can walk through the space. Oh, I don't even know how you got up there, but I'm sure that's a better view. So we can see as well, here is the Google Maps of where specifically we are located. So if you see this space in the browser here and you think, okay, I really want to see this in the real world, this is what you would search in Google to find exactly where we are. But we can walk through a bit more of the space itself. And so now we can start to see a little bit more of the history of Long Island City and what this, what Gantry Park actually was used for. And so it was quite interesting because before, we started to use shipping containers or container-based shipping, we were actually sending freight cars to be rolled across these tracks directly into these gantries, which we can still see today right here. And so this is kind of where a lot of the actual transportation used to happen between Manhattan and Queens, for instance. And so we can see how this used to occur, which is kind of a nice little ode to the city itself. And one of the cool things is, and I've not had a chance to experience this yet, since I've actually a somewhat new resident to Long Island City, but there actually are live shows here right where we are standing during the summer, and we can go and we can see some of the 2025 performances that happened right where we are all standing, and hopefully they continue to do this next year as well, and we can start to have, maybe we'll do dynamic splats in hopefully in the next year or two in some of these spaces. But I'll give everyone a chance to just read a little bit, and let's see what this is like. Yeah, and so to give more information about this space as well, this capture took a little bit longer than the other captures because I did multiple passes. So I think that this one was closer to about 25 minutes to capture everything that you see here. But again, it is being done with just one single camera, and there are definitely ways to, I think, continue to get capture time down further and further and get the reconstruction fidelity higher as well. But we can see, the level of detail even in the background that is being preserved in the space itself, just even from this little bit of a walkthrough. And for a while as part of just like walking around and doing some exploring around the neighborhoods. I was very curious about like what this like funky looking building was right in the back here, where it's got like different parts of it cut out for windows and such, and it actually is the Hunters Point Library here in Queens. And so I actually embedded some information directly from the architect's website, who put some information about their work on the space. So if you're curious about it, you can see if you scroll down a little bit in the actual URL itself, you can see that the Pepsi Cola sign in Long Island City, and we are just to the right of that, where the library is located. But it's a great way to kind of like provide more context to some of the architectural components, you know, being able to layer in some of this information inside of a splat as well, that people can just freely walk around and you know, get used to a space before actually going to visit it. So I'll let people just kind of explore a little bit. And you can also hear some of the audio too as things quiet down a little bit. You can hear there are some seagulls, perhaps in the distance, maybe closer to the actual water itself. So perhaps as we walk closer to that, we'll be able to hear it more loudly. And so before we go to the next space, again, I always think it's just like really nice just to see the New York City skyline through here. You can actually see the Empire State Building from right here. It's just to the left of that following gate. It's the tallest one that's there, but you can also see the newly completed J.P. Morgan Chase building as well, I believe, which is I think it's this one, just to the right of the Queensboro Plaza space as well. But you know, we could see this was just taken a couple weeks ago when we had a bunch of the seasonal leaves changing, so we can see the continuation of the Gantry State Park just ahead with the different leaves as well. So it's really nice to actually see the different colors represented as individual splats through here. But and then finally, we can also see the Long Island sign, which is being made up of on top of the original gantries. So I think does anyone have any questions or anything they wanted to ask before we go to the next space? Okay, so I think with that then, unless there was any questions, we can go ahead to the next one. So we can just walk through the gate right through here, and then I will meet you all in there. Okay. Okay, this is also one of the heavier splats that is the heaviest of all of them, so it might take a little bit longer for it to load into the space here, but it should pop up in just a second. Okay, sorry it took me a little bit longer to pop into the space. This is definitely the largest of all of the splats that we've taken a look at so far. But yeah, just like all the other ones, every single thing that you see in here is also, they're just, you know, millions of splats. I think that this one pushes quite a lot more than the other, maybe around like the Yeah, so we are okay. So that's a good point. We are now in Queensboro Plaza, which is it's a subway stop in Long Island City, and it also is home to a major like transfer hub from Queens and Manhattan. So we can see here that I think that this one may be somewhere between 20 and 30 million splats that are making up this scene. But we are for the most part able to just like have it render in real time across the various browsers and devices that we are in. And so earlier in the tour, one of the things that I was mentioning is that like it's really great to have either cold weather or it's great to have just really early conditions to go and capture. The third one is actually was captured in neither one of those scenarios, but was actually captured during the New York City Marathon. And so if you're looking for a really good time to go and capture something, definitely I would recommend going to capture during marathons, because typically, as you could see directly behind us, the streets were all closed here. There was no traffic, and I could walk around very easily to go and capture this space. So this space I think took about 30 minutes to capture. So is the largest or longest of all of the ones that I think actually it was maybe 35 minutes to capture this. But we can again see the amount of time invested versus the fidelity that we get out of it is pretty incredible. And this was captured with the XGrid's portal cam as well. And some of the nice things with this is we can actually walk right up to say like this sign here, and we can read very plainly the signs, which I think is a very cool little feature. Even though despite it being such a large scene, there's still a lot of like detail that we can pull out from this this capture. And as we move closer, we'll also have the full level of detail kind of pop in and out to adjust as we move through the space. But this one is also fully explorable. All 3 lanes of this space can be accessed from people, and we can actually just go ahead and walk through the streets itself, and all of the information will continue to load in as we approach it. And so what's really quite interesting about this subway station as well is, so if you are familiar with Manhattan, this serves both the 7 line going towards Flushing, or on the opposite side to 34th Street, Hudson Yards, and it also joins the N and W lines. And what's really interesting about this subway too is that it's an above ground subway station, but it also has 2 different floors and levels that are contained inside of it. So if you're going to Manhattan, you will actually go on to the 1st floor, and if you're going up towards Astoria or to Flushing, you'll board on the 2nd floor, which is a pretty atypical subway structure for above ground subways in Manhattan. And the subway station itself was actually built in 1916 and going through 1917 as part of the expansion of the subway system, which also makes it one of the oldest elevated subway exchanges in the entire city. And it actually used to be quite a bit larger, apparently, where it has 4 tracks now, but apparently it used to have 8 tracks, which I actually can't imagine like what that was like with this structure having double the amount of subway platforms here. But this is how it is represented as of a couple weeks ago too. So we can see here, we can just kind of like walk around and explore this space. And all of it, again, is just rendering in real time and should continue to just like load in more information as you get closer and closer to the different portions or places in it. And so typically you can't easily walk around the plaza like this, but here we can see everything. But yeah, this is the final space that I have on the tour, and I think that I can open it up to some questions for people as well if anyone wants to know anything about like either arrival space, how the scenes were captured, how to embed information as well. Let's see. So yeah, feel free to just ask any questions. Let's see. Oh, is there? Okay, so how do you add annotations to locations? Okay, so I'll answer that one first. So we actually so if you're in the space that you own, there will be a blue plus button on the bottom right of your screen. So you click that, and then at the very bottom there will be an annotation one. And if you're on YouTube, you'll probably be able to see me do this, but you just click and set a space, and you can type something like, this is an annotation, and then I think you can just click off it, and now you might be able to see it just here floating in space right in front of me. So it's pretty quick to create these annotations, and you can also add like hyperlinks as well. So some of the annotations, like in the Bethesda Terrace one, for instance, if you click those, it will actually take you to other URLs directly, and you can go ahead and actually embed more information that way. Yeah, the annotation feature is really cool, and you have total control over where you would like to place it. So if I want to decide, I just want to move it actually, I want to make it like higher or lower, or maybe if I want to like put it onto, I don't know, like the sign here for crossing, I can just very simply do that, where you should see it reflected in just a second, where now it is just over here, and it's pretty easy to do this. Okay, hold on, let me go back to the comments again. 1 second. Okay, so if you want to create your own space, what format do you upload? So there are a couple of different options for this within Arrival Space. So Arrival Space can ingest pretty much all of the different PLY formats, I believe. So it will support normal PLY, compressed PLY. It supports both versions, I think, of SOGs as well, both this spatially oriented Gaussians from Play Canvas as well as the self-organizing Gaussians too. And most recently, they now support the .lcc format, which is the one that comes out of the XGrid's devices. So all of the scenes that you saw today were actually .lcc files, because those are very tiny in relation to the amount of information and size of these spaces. So like this capture, I believe, is a couple hundred megabytes or so on the LCC format, but has some really nice advantages, like it has the LODs as well baked into here, so it's a bit easier just to kind of drag and drop those. But Arrival Space is pretty friendly, I think, to the various PLYs, but Lisa, if I missed one, let me know. And let's see. Okay, so someone was asking about some of the video assets as well. It should be, the way it's set up for everyone in these spaces is that everyone should have their own like views of the videos. So if I click on it, for instance, only I will see it, and the same will be true for everyone here. So if it doesn't look exactly the same for you, if you're watching me like interact with some of the videos, then you see on YouTube it looks different. That's why. But you have the capability of toggling that to be, if you want it to be synchronized for everyone, or if you want everyone to kind of like watch at their own leisure, that's also available. So. Oh, and Martin, were you asking for like French Connection, as in like from like the film? Is that why? Getting a couple of people typing. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I am actually not sure, but it would not surprise me if that were the case, where there was a few different productions that were filmed here, and actually does also represent one of the big use cases for Gaussian splatting out in the world right now, is for this like virtual production or location scouting. So you could imagine, this took me like half an hour or so to go and capture originally, just from a space. If you were a production company, you could send someone with either like a camera or an XGrid's device, or just some, or even their phone if you really wanted to, and have them reconstruct or capture it, and then essentially allow the director to do essentially what we're doing right now, where we're walking through the space and getting a better understanding as to like where we would be filming, and decide like, is this somewhere we want to film? How do we better plan for the day of shooting and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be different even if you're sitting right next to me as well. It will look unique to yourself. But the other side of virtual production where we're starting to see adoption of Gaussian splatting is during the actual time of filming. So, there's one thing to have like the location scouting be done, but if we wanted just to actually film here, we could put this into a LED volume with one of the various plugins that are out there, and we can go sync it up to the camera. And as long as there are not too many Gaussians, as of right now, it's able to function in this way. So the last two locations that we saw in Long Island City, both of those were captured with the portal cam, and the first few, so the terrace, the Belvedere Castle, and then finally the Shakespeare Garden were all done with the X-Grids K1. And it was a very different time then when I captured those. That was before X-Grids introduced their X-Bin format, and so it was not uncommon. I think that first Central Park one at the time was something like 50 gigabytes or so for that one file, and now that same one would maybe be like 2 or 3 gigabytes. So there's been a lot of progress on compressing it. But yeah, any other questions? Feel free to either put it into the comments or just turn on your microphone. I can also, I think, give a couple recommendations too for people that are looking for really cool spaces to check out as well. I'll put into the chat in just a second, but later when people have time, if you want to see some really, really crazy captures, I would recommend that people check out this guy named Christoph Schindelar's work, where he has some really crazy examples of super high fidelity splats that were taken with a single camera. Some of his are done with the portal cam, some of his are done with just normal Sony mirrorless camera as well. But that perhaps we can take a look at that afterwards. But yeah, so those I think are the scenes. So feel free to actually go ahead and explore, revisit any of the scenes themselves. I actually think that at the very other side of this scene, there should be or maybe, I actually don't see them, but let me introduce a gate to go back to the original NYC tour space. I'll put it right here, and it's actually quite easy to do this, where I can just build it very quickly, and now here is a very fast portal that will take us back to the main area. So here I'm actually going to walk back through there, and I can actually answer more questions over there too. So actually, I have to click out of it for myself. Okay. Okay, so now we are back towards the original space. So if you'd like, there's all of these spaces that are a bit more accessible if you wanted to jump back into one in particular. But yeah, I think actually right before I jumped from the space, somebody was asking on how they can merge different scenes together, and depending on it's depending on how you have the scenes overlapping with one another, it can be easier or a bit more challenging to do, though there is a feature called unified splats in Arrival Space now, which makes it a little bit easier to actually go ahead and do that. Though the other way you could try and do it is there's also a super splat instance directly supported inside of Arrival Space. So if you wanted to merge the layers in super splat, you could do it that way too, but probably the unified splats will be easier than anything else. So yeah, and let me know if there's any other questions. But otherwise, I think that, yeah, I probably will just keep hanging out here for a little bit longer, and feel free just to, if you have any questions or if you want to explore any of these scenes or any of the other creators. One thing that I'll highlight actually is if you go to like that hamburger menu in the top right of your screens and you hit explore, there's actually a whole like search mechanism within Arrival Space as well. So if you were looking for like a specific topic, for instance, or if you wanted to like, I don't know, explore like a mountain range or something like this, you could type in like mountain and it should be able to pull up a whole bunch of topics that fulfill that. So if there's anything you wanted to go into a splat of, you can go search for it there. And I believe they also have it like there are options to see really popular ones or things that have just been published too. But there's quite a few really great creators that are listed here in the popular and featured section. So I would definitely recommend just if you click onto it, it will take you right into those scenes, I believe. So just as a heads up, if you find something that you're interested in, you click on it, it'll pull you straight into that space itself. But let's see if there's any questions. Is the portal cam enough for commercial jobs? Depending on what the job is for. For I think media and entertainment, and just getting like a lifelike approximation of a space, I think it's definitely more than satisfactory. In addition to hospitality as well. We've seen a lot of really great examples of real estate being done with the portal cam. If you are needing to do like high accuracy surveying, for instance, then there potentially are some devices that might be a little bit better suited for that task. But if you're trying to get really lifelike 3D out of your capture, there's probably not a more easy to use option in existence right now, especially relative to the cost of, say, something that is like going to be like sub-millimeter accurate. You're definitely going to have to pay a lot more for that. And hold on, I think typing. Yeah, no problem. Oh, and getting another comment. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, hopefully people enjoyed the tour and will go explore some of these different spaces here. This will also go on to, or it's being streamed on YouTube as well right now. So if you wanted to rewatch any of this too, you would be able to find it directly on YouTube for the whole experience, though it'll be from my perspective as the tour host. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and I'll hang around as well for a little bit longer, just to answer questions or go through anything that comes up. And if you're on YouTube and you want to come say hi, you can also join just from the top here. You can see the URL of which we are currently at. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, no worries. Did people have like a favorite space of the ones that were shown? I'm curious. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for this tour.
Yeah, no
really
worries.
cool spaces.
Yeah, no problem at all.
So when you click on an avatar directly, you can also follow the person. So feel free to connect with each other.
Yeah, and if you want to, I actually will post a couple more. I've been trying to capture more of Manhattan, so if you want to follow along, I should be posting more examples in the coming days too, sort of the surrounding city area. Oh, nice. Yeah, the fountain is really cool. That space is one huge and is not easy to find when there's not a lot of people there. But yeah, I'm hoping to try once it gets a little bit colder again to just get out there and try to capture without people being there with the portal cam. And I actually used to live right by there as well. I was on like 70th and Broadway up until August of this year. So it was a lot easier to get up at like, 5 a.m. or something and just walk a couple blocks over.
I split my time between New Jersey and New York, like right around 54th Street and 8th, so just a few blocks from the park.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I do miss the Upper West Side a lot. It's such a nice neighborhood. And actually, I just remembered that somewhere on my computer I have a pretty large capture of the 72nd Street station as well, across the... it's a pretty large capture, actually, surrounding that entire block that I have to try and find. I actually forgot that I took that to right now. It's somewhere. But that was also back when the file sizes were... That capture probably was 50 plus gigabytes at the time.
Yeah. Do you do Matterport as well, or no? Anything like that?
No, so I actually just started straight with Gaussian Splatting. I started originally with NeRF, and then started first just capturing from 2D images.
It's interesting stuff. It's
Yeah.
trying to keep up.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna get faster. I think it's gonna actually speed up pretty intensely next year. Already in the last like couple months, it's sped up beyond my own capabilities.
What kind of clients do you handle?
So I work with a couple corporations across media and entertainment, hospitality, and some simulation-based companies as well. So a couple diverse industries, but I think it speaks to how the technology is going to generalize.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I focus on Matterport myself, but like I said, I always look at the Gaussian splatting, and it's like one day I'll get into it, but right now it's if there's something good I can offer my clients with, then I would focus a little bit more on it.
Yeah, it's interesting because the CoStar Group, which owns Matterport, actually they announced something called Matterport 3D Exteriors, I believe is what it's called, and it actually is.
I heard something about it, yeah.
Have you seen? Yeah, it's all Gaussian splatting based, and so it's pretty exciting to see both like CoStar Group and then like Zillow on the other side to both have announced Gaussian splatting capabilities directly within their offerings. So it's cool to see such large players embrace the technology in a pretty.
I didn't know Zillow was coming out with anything. It's funny because I handle a lot of apartments in Manhattan, and they all went ballistic when the Zillow Matterport war broke out a few weeks ago. And so obviously everything is not there. We even tried to get 3D Vista involved with Street Easy, which is obviously where the New York City one. And it wasn't. They weren't all that interested. What's Zillow doing with splatting?
So Zillow has a product called SkyTour now, where very similar to Matterport 3D Exterior, they are very lifelike 3D reconstructions of home exteriors for certain featured listings on on Zillow products. But they're using Gaussian splatting for it, and it would not surprise me if those two companies continue to expand their footprint in the world of Gaussian splatting over the next couple of months.
Anything with interiors or no?
Nothing that I have seen so far from these companies directly.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But there are some crazy examples here as well on Arrival Space too of some interiors where let me see, if you search like apartments, there should be some cool examples here. But maybe there's not. I don't know. I'll have to look. I'll have to search for a different search term actually. But
do you use these I'm trying to think of the word, like these joint group sessions commercially?
no, I haven't. So, just for I don't know. I guess for anyone who saw it and wanted to like explore a bit.
Yeah, this was great.
But
This really was.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm hoping to like. I mean, Arrival Space is like a crazy platform. That this is, all of it is happening in real time. And rendering here for all of us. And I have done some like commercial meetings to give demos of my own like private Arrival Space, just to have as we were walking through these spaces, just do something similar for clients, which is a really nice capability because you can just show people exactly what the space looks like.
Could you embed a Matterport into these?
Yeah, you can.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can, and I actually have done that as well. So there are you can. It's pretty weird that you can put a 3D model inside a 3D model.
3D model, yeah.
It's yeah.
Wow.